Hi, and welcome to the Business Growth Journey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Termini, here today with an awesome guest, Chad Doyle, owner of Shooter's Golf Shop and the 19th Hole Private Club in Parkville, Missouri. Chad, what's up, man? Welcome to
Hey,
the
how we doing,
podcast.
Nick? Thank you. Thanks for having me on, man. How you been?
Life is good. Glad to have you on, man. Well, I guess that brings up a great point. First of all, how do we know each other?
Well, we knew, I guess I met you in high school. You were at Oak Park still, been our senior year. And then we ended up going to William Jewell together. So we played on the same football team up there. You were a KA, I was the Sigma Nu. And we had a nice little college 4 years together up there. My dad and my mom know your parents as well. Good friends.
Yep.
They've done business in your guys' house before. So yeah, it's a small world when it comes to us, really.
It shrinks fast for sure.
It does.
So Chad, kind of tell us, after we left off at Jewell, what have you been up to?
Well, after Jewell, it was, to be honest, I probably my 20s wasn't the most productive part of my life. Spent time, and even though I grew a lot in that time, did a lot of, worked in like the service industry, bartending, serving for, a while. And then I actually got into business with my dad. He owns Custom Shutters by Doyle, and, worked with him for a few years, worked at the railroad, bounced back between some jobs and some sales jobs. It gave me a lot of experience, in a lot of different areas. I got to see a lot of stuff. And then once I found something, I kind of loved on the golf side, it allowed me to, pursue it and have a little bit of background in everything. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So as you look back on your career, and you mentioned your dad and your parents, was owning your own company something that you were always wanting to work towards? I mean, like you said, I realize in your 20s, everybody's kind of figuring it out, right?
Yeah. We're trying to figure out where we're going, and that's all right. You really just learn what you don't want to do a lot of the time. But then it kind of leads you into what you do want to do. But you take it all. It's all experience, it's all growth. But having my parents own a business, I got to see, firsthand how it works, how much time goes into it. My dad, he and my mom, they poured so much time into that thing. So I knew if I was gonna start something up, you can't half-ass it. You really got to. I work more now than I ever have in my life, and I love it. But more hours for sure than I've ever thought about working. But it's totally worth it at the end of the day. So yeah, having them and growing up, seeing that definitely helps, and it definitely is a nice addition when it comes to having questions and having people to fire questions to, having right in house here. So.
Oh no, that's a great point, because getting started, there's all kinds of enthusiasm, and then you get into it and you're like,
no doubt,
what have I got myself into? So
there's a lot you don't know until you are too far in. You're like, I know a lot about golf. I know a lot about, sales and talking to people and some things, but, taxes, accounting, all these things that have to be taken and accounted for. I do not. You just got to find smart people in those areas to take care of it and, learn how to, use your time most efficiently. No doubt.
Yeah. As you're talking about hiring smart people to do like your taxes, and what are other areas of your business you jumped in, you started? Well, actually, let's back up a second, right? So you're talking about, your mom and dad had their own company. You got in, had several different jobs in different roles, sales, and had opportunities to grow, one in the business world, but also as a person. What is it that made you want to start your own company?
Well, it's, you're working for yourself. Everything, it all depends on you. I love that fact, depends on how hard I want to work, is matched by, what I end up making or what I bring home for my family. And that's really what it's all about, is making the people around me happy. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be uber rich. That doesn't equal happiness to me. When I worked at the railroad as a conductor at Union Pacific, and one of the engineers down there one time told me, uh, you know, he goes, I got every toy known to man. I got, the four wheelers, the bass boat, the golf clubs, the truck,
Yeah.
everything. He goes, I have no time to use any of it. He's always on the road. And so he had all the toys. And so it kind of, opened my eyes that you got to enjoy it as you go. So I just want the people around me to be happy. My kids to have, good school, good house, all that stuff that my parents gave me and that your parents
Yeah.
gave you. Give them the best chance, and that's really the only thing that kind of dictates happiness to me is making them happy. And this gives me a great opportunity to do it. My wife's allowed me to do it, which is the kind of the crazy part. She's definitely sacrificed a lot. She's at home with the kids all the time and the craziness, but long run, long picture, big picture type thing. It's going to be a great thing for, my son comes down to my shop, hangs out, eats food here, talks to the customers, plays outside in Parkville. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you brought up a great point. So, having your wife's support to start the company. Um, I remember when I was starting my first company and going and talking to my wife about it, and I was going to leave the corporate world and get into real estate, and I remember telling my wife about this idea I had, and she's like, "Yeah, I told you to do it like 3 years ago. I don't even know what we're talking about." And and it's funny, like, tell me if you went through this. I was kind of hoping she'd tell me I was wrong. I'm going
You're
the wrong
crazy.
idea. Yeah, exactly. So finally confirm what I've thought the whole time.
Well, it's
But
it's it's definitely hard to take that first step
oh yeah,
from consistency at another job. Maybe the job I held before this was the most successful I've ever been at a job. The most money I'd
yeah,
ever made in my career, and I decided to leave that when my wife was pregnant, right before she got pregnant, and so decided to open up shooters on the golf side just because I was like, this is going to be the last real opportunity I have where I can take a
yeah,
chance like this. So,
yeah.
I'd operated for 3 years out of my garage before we went live on the storefront retail side. And
Yep.
it allowed me to grow and have a big base. So when I did open up on the retail side, we had, some instant success on that.
Man, that's awesome. So another thing. So back to your wife. Was there a point where you're like kind of hoping she'd say, I don't know,
Well,
because
see
once you
mine
go,
was a little different. I just kind of did it, and then I was like, "Hey, we're gonna try this." So she was probably like, "Heck no!" She would probably been okay with me just going back and getting another sales job, but she knew I wanted to do this at some point.
yep,
And maybe like 5 years ago, she didn't understand why all the golf clubs were in the garage, but you know, 3 year, year two, we're painting the house with golf earnings. We're doing stuff around the house, so she could see the money going to some good things. So it became, she got on board with it, and obviously she knows it's something I love. So like I said, she's the saint. She's at home with both. I got a 1-year-old girl and I got a 5-year-old boy, and they are a handful, but they're so much fun. But yeah, you know how it is at home. It could get crazy.
yeah. So okay, you just set the stage beautifully. So all of a sudden you're accruing all these different golf clubs in your garage.
Right.
So what year was this? What's the timeline, and how did you get started?
I would say about 5 years ago. I've always been into flipping. So my grandparents would take me to garage sales and estate
Yeah,
sales and auctions and antiques and stuff. So we were throughout my life I'd buy stuff and then sell it for a little more, the collector stuff. Started
hmm
into golf at Jewel. Took a golf class. I never really golfed before that. Took a golf class. I think you were in it, maybe. I'm not
yeah,
sure. But ended up loving it. Got hooked on golf. And so when I went to buy my first set of clubs, I bought like 3 sets. And after that happened, I sold the two I didn't like and made some money on them. So I'm like, oh, I could do this. So that's
yeah,
what started the beginning of shooters. Back then was in my garage, just kind of flipping. I was selling clubs,
yeah,
and then I started, people started trading clubs in. it started becoming a business in my house, and people, my neighbors were laughing because people would show up and my Saturdays would be busy at my house. But,
Yeah.
a lot of weird people in the neighborhood. Probably not the greatest idea to run that out of your house like that and meet people, but that's how it started there, kind of.
Oh, that's great. So what avenue, like how do people find you? Right. So you got clubs, you got something to flip.
Mhm.
Then what?
Yeah. So what I was doing at the time is I was on Facebook Marketplace,
Mhm.
selling heavily on there. I sold on eBay before, but it had been burnt. Not a big fan of eBay. Uh,
Yeah.
got on Marketplace, got contacted by a guy from an app called Whatnot. So Whatnot
Okay.
allows me to sell items in a live style auction, kind of
Mhm.
like eBay Live. And we set a camera up in the store here, just like we're doing now. And we stream 2 to 3 hours a night, probably 3-4 times a week. And he contacted me and ended up being a fantastic fit. We sell now, worldwide. And we move a lot of product, a lot more than I ever thought was imaginable when I started this thing. And now we're
Yeah.
just hooking up on the retail side with a bunch of big time names. So just growing like crazy on this end, and in the middle of all this chaos and having another baby, we decided to open up another business on the other side called the 19th Hole as well. So kind of ties
Oh
directly
man.
in. Yeah,
Oh, so that's a great intersection of life, right?
right.
So learning to grow as a dad, a husband, all the different aspects of life, right? And so then you
Absolutely.
thought, so where have you grown the most in the last couple of years? Because owning your own company is kind of like a baby in itself, right?
No doubt. It's you gotta, like I said, it's the most time I've ever, spent working. I
Yeah,
there's no doubt I'd probably spend 100+ hours a week down here,
yeah,
just working. And it's crazy. And it's I thank for my wife for allowing me to do this, but really the best part, the best growth has been, my family side. So
yeah.
my wife and the two babies, uh getting to watch them grow up, getting to see my wife, raise them at home, and kind of do that. That was one of our big things we wanted to accomplish is, not have to send them to daycare if we didn't have to, that type of thing, and letting them, kind of enjoy the house, and then grow up. That's been by far the best part of the whole journey.
Oh, it's a
And that's the
crazy
whole
ride.
reason I do it, really, to be honest, is for them.
Oh,
So it's the ultimate payoff. And, if we just keep growing a little bit, I think we're going to be good.
awesome. Well, I had the opportunity to tour your shop last week, and then go visit the 19th hole. Man, it's cool all the stuff that you have going on. So starting with Shooters Golf Club or Golf Shop. What are all you're offering? Because it's not just golf clubs.
No, we
You got
offer,
other.
we offer obviously hats, apparel. We have, anything golf related, balls, tees, clubs, iron sets. We offer used and new. We offer private fittings. So if you need to get fit for golf clubs, we are teamed up with PXG. PXG will actually come out. We're one of the only places around that are teamed with PXG. PXG
Awesome.
will come out and do private fittings at our club down here, the 19th hole. And then we just teamed up with Titleist and Cobra. So we got, a little bit of everything: balls, ball markers, shirts, polos, long sleeve hoodies. And we move at such a volume due to Whatnot. Um, you know, on an average week, we sell somewhere around 50 to 60 hats. So
Oh,
the hat game, it's just, it's all new stuff every day, kind of coming in. So it's never the same. We try to keep it fresh in here and keep everyone happy and coming back.
man, speaking of the hat game, I mean, I have a uniquely shaped head, and there's only certain hats that fit me. I'm a big hat lover,
It's a
and I'm
big old
looking at all the
dome.
hats. You got some cool stuff, but
Yeah,
I
no
put it
doubt.
on like I was wearing a thimble. So I appreciate you accommodating people of all head
Oh,
sizes.
no problem. No problem. I knew we'd find something in here for that Cro Magnum head right there.
Okay, so shooters. How did you come up with the name Shooters Golf Shop? I keep calling it club.
So,
Golf Shop.
obviously, growing up, we all watched the movie. Uh,
Oh yeah,
Adam
lay
Sandler,
it on us.
Happy Gilmore, and so Shooter McGavin from that. When I was coming up with names, there was a few that we were going off. I was going to be either Chubbs from Happy Gilmore as well, so it was going to be like Chubbs Clubs or something like that. But I'm kind of glad we went with the Shooters. Then we did a community. I had a design, probably 50 designs done, and we did some community feedback, and we came up with the logo, and it just kind of started from there. At that time, I was in my garage, and I didn't think anything would come out of it. I thought maybe I'd sell some clubs on the side, and it was a great side project as well. I was in sales at the time, so I was out during the day, and I could stop in places, pick clubs up. It was a beautiful little combo. But I never thought that it was going to be the name of my store. I guess you never do, or maybe do. I don't know. Didn't happen that way for me.
So did you have like a focus group, or you just heard Shooters golf
So I did like
shop?
not anything that extensive. We did just a Facebook. I stuck it up on our Facebook. Shooters. I had people following me already, and so we kind of did a poll. And then I started a business page up on Facebook.
Awesome.
The best piece of advice I can give to people if they're starting a business, and I tell this to people all the time on Whatnot who ask me, people who are doing it out of their garages, or their houses or their basements or whatever, is stay in your house, or as long as you can, because the no overhead is a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Overhead is make sure you're ready to come out into the retail side, and make sure you have a plan in the slow months, because there are slow months in every industry. You got to find how to navigate them. Winter was our slow month, and we ended up instead of staying local, we just sold worldwide. There's people golfing everywhere, year round. So the 100 there, golf's in a good spot. But yeah, that's kind of how that all happened.
Oh yeah, you bring up another great point. So seeing where there's challenges in your company, like seasonality. We're in Parkville, Missouri, right? So winter, especially this last one, was pretty harsh.
Tough winter. It was a tough winter.
Yeah. So how did you find the avenues? Is it through Whatnot, or what is it that kind of helped you broaden your distribution to be able to say, okay, well, winter's been slow. There's places that are warm. There's places that need golf clubs and apparel.
Absolutely. You gotta do the research. A lot of the time, I'm not just cleaning golf clubs down here. A lot of time it's just doing research, reading articles, reading Facebook posts, forums. You got to dig to find. People always. I see people on the sites. We're asking for where people get their sources and stuff, and the people who have the sources have spent time finding the sources. They're never going to give those sources up. So that's why there's not an easy way to do it. You gotta put the time in. And I love golf, so I don't mind doing it. In my off time, I'm reading nerdy golf stuff, right? But it helps me in the long run. And I'm not sure if I answered your question there, but that's.
No, it does. I mean, so it's just a matter of being able to find relationships that build them. Is it, where it's out of state or even out of the country?
Yeah.
Are you working with the same people on an ongoing basis, or is it?
So we did it.
You built a name and a brand outside of this area.
Sure, it's allowed me to grow. When I started on Whatnot, we're obviously 0 followers. In 1 year on there, I think we're up to about 14,000 followers. So 14,000 awesome. for me, in this little old shop at Parkville, never would have happened here. But I get on stream and I try to be myself. People, you try to convey everything you're about, and people love supporting a small business. And as long as you're honest, truthful, you follow through with what you say you're going to do. When we ship here, we try to ship as fast as possible to get people the stuff. I know that's like a huge thing. We're not Amazon, but we try to get stuff to you quick. Customer satisfaction in the beginning is huge. You want to bring those people back. We just ran a show last night, and we had 100. We sold 100 items, and 50 of those items were from first-time customers, which is a wild amount. But it's it just shows kind of where and I know Whatnot is new for a lot of people, but I guarantee you in a year or two, everyone's going to know what Whatnot is. Whatnot, I think last year on their app, through everyone who sold on there, I think they sold somewhere around 4 billion in business. So it's booming. It's growing like crazy. And it allows me to touch people I would have never touched before. They follow
Yeah.
me. They come back, continue to buy. It's one of those deals. Just treat
Yeah.
people right, really. You learn it in the service industry, right? You learn how to, kind of read people. And, even I worked in in that industry for a while, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think everyone should go and work in the service industry at one point in their career path.
Yeah, no, I mean it's amazing how each job, each activity you've done throughout your life add up to helping you be able to do the things you want to do now. And so when you're able to pull back from your experience, whether it's football, whether it's being in the service industry or sales,
Sure.
each of those have given you components to help continue to grow where you are. So you mentioned 100 items sold in a night. That's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. So
So
those, an item could be a set of irons, or it could be a golf bag, a hat,
yeah.
whatever it may be. But yeah, we
So
rock through stuff.
for you, what does that actually mean? So that means you've got to go the value that you're providing just from this one transaction, let's say. So you've got to go find the product,
Mhm. Yeah, you got
buy
to
the product.
right. You got to source it. You gotta
Yeah.
locate it, source it. You got to find where the market's hot at, what people want. You got to be ahead of the curve. You know what I mean. You got to find the new companies coming out. I have to go on and send requests out to be a dealer with them. Some of them require more steps than others. But all of it, you got to get your taxes and exemption forms. You got to do all that stuff
Yep.
because it all adds up. It saves you money. At the beginning, I wasn't doing it, and I kicked myself a little bit because it took me too long to get that registered with some of these dealers. But yeah, you go out and you source these things, you find them, you buy them, and then you wait, sometimes 2 to 8 weeks to get the products in. So at the beginning of the company, this past years, there was
Yeah.
tough months where you're limited by the amount of your kind of your overhead. You gotta pay, and then you got stuff that's you may be hung out there, money hung up. So it's challenges, hurdles
Yeah.
you got to do. You gotta it was crazy at the beginning. Just trying to make things fit. But now we have a little more of a plan. So each week becomes a little more efficient in here. We're teaming up
Awesome.
with more and more companies, and then we get the product in. We have to put it, market it, sell it, set the shows up, and then after the show's complete, I do have a buddy who comes in and does all my shipping for me because
Oh,
that's like I said, I'm not. There's some things where he's really good at shipping. He knows golf
yep.
too, and it's a perfect fit. He loves working here, and we love having him. He's fantastic at his job. So yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, and that's so you just nailed it. So as you've grown in the beginning, you were wearing all the hats, doing all the jobs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was, between me and my wife, having her help with some stuff, and then,
Yeah.
her just kind of focusing on the house while I did this end has been crazy. Yeah, it was, at the beginning you have to, because costs, you're trying to cut costs at all ends, and, you try to do it efficiently. But there's some things where your time, it's just not worth my time. I,
Yes.
when
Yes.
he takes 3 hours to ship on 2 or 3 nights a week, I take those 3 hours to do my orders, to place my orders. And
Yep.
for me, the money that I pay him in that time is the best money I spend all month, right? Because it allows me to take my focus and direct it somewhere else, whether it be either with my family, let me to go home and have dinner, and put the kids down and all that stuff, or place orders, do things that need to be done.
So something you said there is really struck a chord because I've lived this, and I can imagine actually most people that start a company have, where things are slow and clunky as hell in the beginning, where you're trying to figure it out, and something that seems like it should take, I don't know, a couple minutes
Oh,
ends up taking hours or days, and the frustration and all the things that build up where
bank
you've got to
issues and oh man, yeah, it's
right.
it's it's incredibly tough to go through all that stuff. But It's really, you got to go through it to learn it. It's the old thing, you're
That's
not going to know it until you do it yourself. Everybody can tell you, you know, they give you all the advice in the world and it sounds great. And then, you got to go out and mess it up yourself to really learn it. So, there's things that I would have done completely different.
yeah,
But, I learned a lot. We learned a lot. We're going to continue to grow. And that goes with the 19th hole as well, over there. I tell,
yeah,
all our new members, we've been open since November over there on that end. And I tell the guys over there, I've never done this before. This is the first one I've ever opened on the private club side. So there's going to be things
yep.
that may not be great, perfect at the beginning, but we take all the advice we can get on that side, help. It's kind of a community project over there, and I think that really makes everyone a little closer when everyone feels like they got a hand in it, or some control on where this thing goes. So it's been fun. It's really you try to treat people right, and and put your best foot forward, and just hope that it works out sometimes, because like you said, there's things that happen. I'm on a bank call for like 2 days a week ago, and I just want to, I got way more things I need to do than this, and I just
Yeah.
want to, bash my head into the table. But
Yep.
those are the fun days. No.
Shooter's Golf Shop, you opened in your garage. Then you're like, okay, we're moving enough product. I've kind of got my bearings. This is a real business, right? Then what? So you got your first retail space. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had a space here in Parkville. So we use the front of it for shooters. Now attached to it, my parents were operating their shutter company out of the back of it. In the
Yep.
back of it, we had a couple buddies that were running. We're going to office it for actually what I did before, which was the solar cells.
Oh,
Now we
okay.
didn't end up using the back end for solar. My parents took over the other side, and I had this front area. But we quickly outgrew it with the golf clubs and with whatnot. Kind of growing through the winter. Winter I thought would stagnate, and winter was actually a tremendous growth period for us. So I am very, very excited about the spring and summer and the fall here, because what I thought was going to be our low months ended up being really growth months for us. So it allowed us to grow. We needed more room. So we took over my parents' office, where they office out of. They moved out. I took over that side. So we have two storefronts essentially now. I think
Yeah.
you're going to help me with the windows. You got a guy for me there, but we got 8 window fronts down here in Parkville now. So two building fronts, and a really nice little setup down here. My landlord approached me, the guy I rent from down here, and asked me, if I was liking it, all that. We're limited, if you can't tell, with the height in here. So swinging a driver is tough.
Mhm.
What I wanted to
You have
do was
somebody that comes in, wants to try out a club.
exactly, yeah.
Anybody that buys a golf club usually wants to swing it
Yeah, they
first.
want to hit them. It's you want to fill it, and having last year I put one in the back. We were able to swing irons and stuff in here, and it's having that simulator, which probably was like a $2,000 or $3,000 little setup back there. Not perfect by any means because it's short in here, but that simulator probably made me $20,000 last summer just by getting people to hit clubs, and they weren't going to buy anything, but they hit it and they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
like these. So that we joked last year that thing actually sold us a lot of golf clubs. So
100%.
when he came over, I told him I was looking for somewhere with some higher ceilings if we could. He showed me the another property down here in Parkville, right across the tracks. It sits right behind the old VFW, and a kind of a crazy story is that's the building my dad used to own when he operated the custom shutters by Doyle down here in Parkville. So he
Really?
owned that for 10, 15 years, and sold it, and we ended up touring that, and it's perfect for another idea I was tossing around, which is going to be a private club
Yep.
that tied into golf, allowed
Yeah.
us to put some sims in there, and then kind of open a business that's somewhat related to shooters,
Yeah.
but it's kind of its own thing at the same time down here.
That's crazy. So your dad owned that building before. So as you were walking through it, were you having like
Oh,
nostalgic moments?
it used to be an old wood shop. So when you
Yeah.
see what's in there now, it's a far cry from where it was.
Yeah.
Where we're playing golf now is where we were. Chopping wood, sanding, putting shutters together, staining, painting. You could still see some of the equations, math equations that were wrote
Yeah.
on the wall. So
Oh,
that's
that's
still up there.
incredible,
And
man.
so it's it's pretty fun to look back and know that that's where I grew up.
Yeah. What's the
Through the whole
time?
time. And now I got my kid down there running around. It's pretty cool.
That's
I
all.
loved it growing up, and I imagine he's going to have memories down there as well, just like I did. And hopefully, we can make some more good ones.
So wait, how old were you when your parents owned that building?
So we moved. I grew up. I was born in Wyandotte County. I was born over there.
Yep.
And we moved to the Northland to Parkville when I was in sixth or seventh grade, I want to say.
Mhm.
And my dad opened his company, I want to say my freshman year. So it would have been like 1996, 95 maybe. He opened Shutter Company, and he did it. His story, you'll have to interview my dad. His story on how he started his company is absolutely wild. And I'll save that for him. But his is a crazy way. And for him to grow it how he did,
Yeah.
it really did help me having support of. You got to have support. My family, not just on the business side, just people there in the hard times, because there's going to be hard times. There's going to be stuff that happens that costs you money. There's stuff that we ship out that doesn't make it sometimes to the destination. And for whatever reason, you know, we may have to eat that cost. So,
Yeah.
as a small business, that really hurts.
Mhm.
So, forming good relationships with the post office for us, things like that are all key. It's just things that you would never think of having to do. That's what you do on a daily as a business owner is try to avoid that and then learn, like I said, and not make that mistake again.
So your dad owned this building. Now you own it, and you're able to have these types of memories with your family. That's in itself an incredible, awesome story. But so just to back up a little bit, you moved to Parkville area, sixth grade. You were the first graduating class at Park Hill South, right? Which
Correct. Yep.
is pretty cool in itself. And
Pretty
now
cool.
you're deep in the community with Shooter's Golf Shop in the 19th hole. So could you tell us more, like what all does the 19th hole offer? Like you gave a bit of a glimpse, but so
Sure.
and what all have you done to it since you took over?
Yeah. So what the 19th hole is it's a private social club. I'm a night owl. I've never been like a morning person. I think everyone whoever knows me knows that.
I
Um,
do.
and
Yeah.
and what I wanted was a club or a place to go that never shut down. So you had access all the time, like a gym, 24/7 gym. I was always fans of those. I was a member at Snap just because you could go at 3 a.m. if I wanted to, and that's sometimes when we went. Yeah, exactly. So, uh, so we, that was the vision I had.
Yeah.
Told it to my dad. I said, look, we can put some golf simulators over here. We can have and essentially what it is 24/7. You have a smart app on your phone that
Mhm.
you get access to when you become a member. There is 2-tier packages. There's a $150 tier called the Birdie package, and
Okay.
that gets you in, and it gets you a private liquor locker, a locker to put cigars, your good bottles of booze. There's 2 bars in there. There
Mhm.
is 2 dart machines, pool table, poker room, cigar lounge with smoke eaters. There's a business conference center that's able to be booked for when you have clients in. There's 14 TVs, I believe, and 2 golf sims in there. So there's a lot of stuff going on down there. It's very got kind of a
Yeah.
rustic look in there. It's an awesome place, and what it was built to be, what we want it to be, is a nice little community
Mhm.
of people who, can go down, get away from, you don't have to be, the Nick and Jake's or the 54th Street craziness. If you just want to come down after work with a client or a buddy, or after a ball game, come down and hit some balls, you could swoop in. I tell everyone that joins over there, when you come in to the 19th hole, it's like walking into your own basement. You don't have to ask permission to do anything. It's all accessible to you, and
Yep.
it does nothing in there costs a dime once you're a member. So it's all BYOB type things. The bars are community built. They've, people bring stuff and set it there, and it's all based on a, kind of a replenish rule set. And we've had no issues. We're growing now. We have a goal. We want to get to about 80 to 90 members, and then doing a little expansion over there as well. So it's growing like crazy. We do a lot of fun events. So currently we're running a March Madness golf style double elimination bracket.
Yeah.
So gets all the members in over there. We have poker nights. We have live music. We do live watch parties for stuff. It's just a great time, and really, as you know, on the business side, networking is everything. And if anything's true in this world, it's not what you know, but who you know. And once you find the right type of people and you surround yourself with them, it's all good. So a lot of the guys that are over there, own their own businesses, are very good at what they do. They're family men, family guys. We have 6 or 7 lady members, as well. So I get that question a lot. It's just for guys. It's definitely not just for guys. We have a good time over there, and if anybody's interested in that, we do. Just let me know. We do little tours and all that.
Yeah, no, man. When you took me through it, I was blown away with it. The amenities are incredible. It's literally got something for everybody, and like you said, it was just kind of a homey vibe where it just felt like a great place to be. So that's pretty amazing that in this amount of time you've already expanded and grown the operation. So
yeah, it is kind of crazy. It's definitely crazy. That came out of nowhere. We toured that building in August, I want to say July or August.
Yeah.
And we were live November 1st. So we beat our website open. Our website didn't get started up till a few months after our launch. But now we're live on there. So people can access us through there. The members are able to book the golf bays through there, the business room, all that's available on there. So yeah, it's been fun. It's the growth is crazy. But definitely that one came out of nowhere. We weren't planning on that. Just sounded like a great idea. Never really heard of it before, the 24/7 club. I think since then I look online. There's a few places around doing it, but our hope is to grow it here, and then possibly do it in some other areas as well.
Yeah, so that is crazy. So originally, was it just, hey, let's check it out because we need an area for golf simulators, or was it the second that the opportunity came about? I was like, wait a second, we could do something big.
I didn't really have a plan. I toured it, and the guy who owns it had it kind of set up for a private club. He had an idea that he wanted to have a private club in there. So when I looked at it, it was perfect for golf simulator bays. There's a lot of room back there. And I'm thinking to myself, I need some golf simulator bays. What can we do here? Either I can move my store over there, but I like the store front here. There's a lot of accessibility for people in the park, walking up. So we decided to do 2 different ones. And, from the outside, this building, I tell people all the time, the outside doesn't do much, right? You look at it, you're like, it's a brown Morton style building that's kind of a shotgun style, 4,000 square feet, but it's long and narrow. But once you go inside this thing, it's legit. It is done right. We're looking forward to putting a shuffleboard table in there sometime, and a golden tee here in the near future. So, we're going to continue to grow. All of our members, they get access to Shooter's Golf Shop at some reduced rates. They get like some little perks. We're running the tournament, and I'm giving away a polo and a hat to the winner. So that we just try to tie it together. And I've had multiple members come buy golf clubs from me over here. So opening that has opened another side, to my golf business. Um, and it just kind of helps grow the whole brand together.
Yeah. So as you look at, opening up shooters, now the 19th hole, and I guess a natural question here would be, so what's next, right?
What's next? What's next is I'm probably at this point going to have to hire somebody in here. I tried
Mhm.
to do this, by myself, and it's just
Yeah.
not enough time. And I'm
Yeah.
drained, by the end of the day. I'm absolutely drained. My wife, thank God, lets me sleep in the mornings and catch up on a little sleep. But it's one of those things where you can't continue to push it to the
Yeah.
limit all the time. So I know there's a break here where we're gonna have to grow, and it's a little scary because I'm like, bringing on new people, paying salaries and all that. But to
Yep.
get to where I think we're gonna go, which is well, you know, we're gonna hopefully double what we did last year, this
Yeah.
coming year, and it really shouldn't be a problem doing that. We're gonna have to add some people to the family here on the shooter side. So it's my mom's gonna come in on board and help
Awesome.
run some auctions, and
Yep.
then my buddy who ships for me now probably gonna become a full-time employee here at some point.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that is the next step. Once you run out of time, then
Yeah,
it's time to leverage it and bring other people in,
you
right?
got to find other people with the passion to bring in, because that's the
So,
big thing. You
sit
want that.
in this journey, where have you grown the most, right? Like if you look back from where you started in your garage to where you are now, like how have you grown, and what are the things that you've had to pick up on, whether it's
Well, I'm terrible. All right, with procrastination. All right, it's always been my thing. I will put it off and I'll put it off.
yeah.
And business wise, you can get away with it with some stuff, but it will catch you. So one thing, if it's one thing I've really gotten better at is managing my time in
Mhm.
shop better.
Yep.
Uh, on how I attack things, whether it's in the mornings I order, and then I gotta set times for myself, because
Mhm.
for me there's too much going on, and if I don't, I just find myself bouncing around, and then I look down, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I haven't got what feels like nothing done. So
Yeah.
being able to focus and manage my time, I've gotten much better at that than I couldn't have done this in my 20s, man. You know me. I was, after college, I don't know what I did in my
Yeah.
20s. I worked at the railroad, held some good jobs and stuff, but
Yeah.
when I look back, I wasted a lot of time and energy doing, just growing up. Really, when
Yep.
I look at it now and I'm like, dang. I could have done so much more with my time back then, in a positive way. But it's kind of made me who I am today. But yeah, on the growth side of things, it's really just uh, you know setting things in order, making sure you get it done, and it's not going to go away. So that's the big thing here.
No, it's not.
No. The uh, the, uh, the taxes don't go away. The accounting, you got to. That's the stuff for me that I hate.
Yep.
So that's the stuff I'd stay on top of. POS systems. And if people don't know what that is, it's the sales system you use to check out. I had a company come and drop one of those off to me. I have no idea what I'm doing with that thing. They dropped it off, and they're asking me SKU numbers and asking me. 2 weeks later, I call back. I said, "Look, come pick it up because I need something that I can work." I've
Yeah.
never worked in the retail side on sales, really.
Yeah.
I've been on bartending and serving and the service industry, but never selling clothes or setting up retail stores. And so that part to me was hard. It was the tough part for me. So weird stuff. You just run into little bumps, and the best thing you can do is just find somebody who's in business for themselves. So
Yep.
my parents, my uncle, there's people I know that a lot of the members over there. I ask people all kinds of stuff. I have buddies that we went to college with that are lawyers now. So you're bouncing stuff pretty much everywhere, and just trying to do the right thing, grow healthy.
Yep.
Don't want to
Yeah.
grow like crazy fast, and then lose was kind of what we were doing here to start with. So
Yeah. And so like that's another great example though. You start out, you're all excited, got my own company. Here's what we do. We're going to get this thing rolling. And then they drop off the POS system. You're like, what is
yeah, you have no idea what you're doing.
doing?
You know, they
And
they
I'm guessing you got no training. No, they're like,
no,
yes.
I mean, it was some training, but they're using. I have no idea. It's like watching somebody do something you've never seen one time, and then they leave you with it. And I told them, I said, I just need a gun with a sticker. I'll put the prices in it. I'm gonna stick stuff in here, and we'll do it this way. We'll do it until I grow big enough to where
Yes.
we need it. And I think at that point, it was one of those things that system's fantastic for, like, say, Golf Galaxy or Dick's. That's
Yeah.
probably a great system to have, and they got to have it. We are not that big yet. So,
Yeah.
right now, we have a way we inventory and track all that stuff, but it's going to be one of those things that's going to have to grow. We're going to have to change it at some point just due to sheer volume coming in. It's not going to be just me taking these clubs in anymore. So we're going to have a universal way of doing it, and we will. But those are the fun things like that. That's fun to me, like figuring out how to grow. What area to grow in.
Yeah.
When I didn't just start in Parkville because I lived in Parkville, I started shooters in Parkville because in Kansas City there are 0 golf shops in the Northland. So it is a golf desert outside of Overland Park, Kansas. They have 3 major stores over there that are all parked within a mile of each other.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else, there's no golf shops. So, you got to find a need. There was definitely a need here for it. And, the online presence has just helped expand that at a quicker rate for sure.
Oh man, that's great. So you did, as you had the idea for shooters, did a competitive analysis or just
Absolutely.
maybe even just Googling. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to Google. You talked to people in my garage over the previous 2 to 3 years, and everyone's saying the same thing. Like, you were the only one I could find. And I knew that Facebook, I was only capturing a small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
And I was still getting great feedback off just that little portion. So I knew if I expanded this thing, we could definitely do more. Now, the other thing we've never done down here is at Shooters or the 19th is advertise yet. So, because I don't know anything about that side of it, to be honest. So that's the next step is we're going to advertise. A lot of people that live in Parkville that play at the National have never heard of my shop. And that's a problem. You know what I mean? I got people that in North Carolina and in Netherlands that I've shipped to and know shooters and have shooters hats. But, down the street from me, the guy's never heard of me. So that's things we need to do some, grassroots type growing around here locally. We're trying to do events. We sponsor golf tournaments to get the name out, things like that. All help, to get the name out there. But this podcast here too. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, and you bring up another great example of that. Each component you learn, okay, now we need to do this. Okay, we've been able to secure our fulfillment. We're able to get clubs. We're able to get products. Now, okay, we install a POS system. What the hell is this thing? Then we get that going. Then, like, each new layer opens a new opportunity. So, man, it's really cool to hear your growth mindset of how you continue to look ahead and, seize opportunities, right? Like the 19th hole. Not many people would have been able to jump on that. And I think the coolest part, I mean, it's an incredible story that you have it there, but then, that was your parents' building before, man. Then nostalgia tied into this, and you're able to have these experiences with your families. This is cool, man. I'm excited for you and all the great things you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It definitely makes it all worth it. Like I said, the whole reason I'm doing it is because I love golf. It is a passion. It truly is the first time I've worked and enjoyed it. They always say find what you love, and I never understood it because I really didn't love anything I did. I did it. There were some jobs I really liked, but I never really had a passion, where you want to work for it. So it's been a blast. It's been a journey, but it's all to make the people around me happy and to, have a good life for my kids, my family, and improve, locally down here as well. Parkville's booming. There's a lot of cool businesses. I love to see it. I love,
Yeah.
I have pride. I came from here, so you have that hometown pride that carries through. The high schools all around, still seeing you, seeing Pringer, seeing all these guys from Jewel that are all spread out. Everybody doing crazy good.
Yeah.
It's just been look. We talked the other day, and I won't go too far in this, but looking back 20 years ago when we were at Jewel together, there ain't no way I thought this group was going anywhere. I can tell you that. I thought we for sure would be, just pushing mowers or something forever. But yeah, surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people that have done it, and that's it. It's pretty easy from there. I mean, it's not easy, but it makes it easier, I should say.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I mean, it's really cool to see your friends that you've had long-term relationships with, be able to circle back with them and see the cool things they're doing and being able to, okay, really we are all in this together. And I think having people support you and excite. I mean, just the enthusiasm, like, man, you're crushing it. This is cool to see what you're doing. It puts a little wind in the sails. So seeing everything you're doing fires me up, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would have never got excited about having a great banker until I owned my own business. I banked with one bank, and then
Yep.
I've went over with a Security Bank up here. No, it's all plugged in.
Awesome.
It's crazy when you hook up with just good people.
Yeah.
I have a personal relationship with David up there, and it makes everything easier.
100%.
And just networking, like I said, it's the big thing. Just getting word of mouth is the best review compliment you could ever get is
100%.
having somebody send you, and we get that all the time. Hey, I had a guy came in last time. Hey, Dustin sent me. Dustin, you guys don't know, but Dustin, he bought clubs for me 4 years ago in my garage, and we've done business for 4 years. And then last night he sent his friend up, and he's probably sent way more than that up. But last night it turned into probably $600 or $700 worth of clubs last night off a guy I met in my garage 4 or 5 years ago. So it all connects, and that's why not burning bridges. And when I was younger, I would do stupid things. I wouldn't follow through with something, and I'd ruin a relationship or sour a relationship, things like that. You just learn, and and then it turns in that guy's turned into a good friend, and then he's sending business my way. It's, things I could never repay. It's
Man,
stuff I really appreciate.
isn't it? It's a humbling feeling because it's
Yeah,
like
no doubt.
we're doing something right here. We're doing something good. People
Yeah.
appreciate it. Wow.
Yeah, we're growing. People like this. It's for sure. It's you don't know how it's gonna turn out sometimes. There's things we've done that have been flops for sure. But you got to be able to pivot and recognize it. And I think that's where being in different jobs and seeing how in sales, I've seen how my dad sold, and that's I try to take a lot from him when I was growing up. And then I worked for Christian Brothers Roofing, and and to see a family-owned company run it a different way, but the right way,
Yep.
100%. You take all the good things from all these different spots and try to keep them with you. So all those things are building blocks, even if it doesn't seem like it at the time. When I got laid off from the railroad, had to go work at the plaza serving tables, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? Type of deal.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Folding silverware. I'm 30, but I connected with so many people that what I mean. It all just comes back around, and I use those times to push myself forward here, and the experiences to draw on. So it's been a blast, man. It's been fun. I'm excited where we're going. It's gonna continue to grow down here for sure.
Man, it's awesome just to see how much you've grown in a short amount of time and how you've been able to manage wearing all the different hats. So to wrap up, Chad, how can people find you at Shooter's Golf Shop as well as the 19th hole, and what could they expect?
Sure. Yeah. You can find Shooters Golf Shop. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We'll have our Shooters website back live here soon. It's down right now. The 19th hole is the 19th hole KC.com. You can do a video tour on there. My wife, Jackie, handles all the communications, and she is on it. So if I'm completely unorganized, she is the polar opposite. She's on it. She keeps everything in order. But that's who you'll deal with on that end. And we were able to do tours down here.
Okay.
And on nights, we have a poker night coming up on the 24th of this month. That night, it's $10 cover charge to come in. You don't have to be a member. And we do a little house game of cards. So, winner take all type deal. But you can come see the place, hang out, meet the members, just kind of feel how an event goes down there. We got Masters weekend coming up this weekend. So if you want to come down and check it out, really any of these events, we got stuff going on. So I'd love to have you down, have a drink on us, check out the place. But yeah, we're very excited about that one and the growth that we're going to probably see here this summer and there.
Awesome. Well, Chad, thanks for joining the business growth journey, and we're excited to check back in with all the cool stuff you're doing.
I appreciate it, Nick. Best of luck to you, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.